Hey everyone, I'm Rebecca. I'm the lab coordinator, and I'm the one who's kind of been with you guys through the hiring process for TAing. And I'm kind of the go-to person of when you have any questions or training-wise, I'll be here to help you. When we talked during getting your I-9 documents, I mentioned that I probably wouldn't be here beginning of August due to having to go on a short leave. And we also talked about you guys having an in-person training, either with a professor or another designated person. I feel like it's just better to do a video so that I know that you guys are getting all the same information. And so first and foremost, here we are in 306. This is where your Organic 1 and Organic 2 labs will be located. Of course, you guys are familiar with this space because you've taken the courses, but in case that you've forgotten, here we have our first aid kit, fire extinguisher, spill kit. The spill kit will kind of be explained more during the training that Mr. Freeman is going to give you guys. That first week of class, either that Thursday or Tuesday during X period, she will send out an email with you guys, letting you guys know specifically what date she has that scheduled for. Here we also have our fire blanket, and then also our fire extinguisher and eye wash. So of course, there's no drain here, and for some reason you have to use the shower. This releases about 20 liters of water every minute, so it's going to likely flood. In the cases that you do need to use it, you pull it down. The student needs to be hit underneath it for 15 minutes, so that's a lot of water. It's gonna get pretty wet, but it's something that's, if it's necessary, it just kind of has to happen. Over here we have our glass disposal for anything that you might need over here. You get also given that you guys are probably going to be using the pasture pipettes, the glass ones, over here. And then the other glass disposal box is in that back corner, and that's also where you'll find the dustpan and broom. In the case that a glassware does break, you are to never pick up the large pieces with your hands. Always pick that up. If it's wet or if it's something that happens in the sink, go ahead and scoop it up and dump it into the disposal box. This disposal box is cardboard. We have an interior bag, plastic bag, which will keep the box from getting too wet and breaking down. Here we also have our desiccator for the floor. Organic 1 is on the top, Organic 2 is on the second row, and then we have our NMR solvents that you might need when you're doing NMR analysis. Here we also have our TA sheets. So these are like your little tidbits of information that you might need regarding all the different labs that you're having. So for example, natural dyes in Organic 1, you would have your items that are listed in the prep kit, any extra things that you might need to know, any lab notes, disposal, and cleanup. So this is all something that you can use during lab if you have any questions. And then your professor obviously is going to be able to answer most of your questions, but this is just a little bit more of information in case they themselves forget something. So of course we have every side of the sinks have 2 stations of DI water, soap, and acetone, and hand soap. So of course you can refill what you need to. The water is from the sink. The soap, there is going to be a jug either in the dumbwaiter area or underneath that glass fume hood where the waste is usually going with your soap, glassware soap. And then acetone will be refilled in the yellow can that's in the dumbwaiter, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. So for the most part, you guys kind of know where your ring stands are, your clamps, everything that you really need in case of different labs, your stir plates, thermal plates, heating mantles. Here's some sand. The sand is usually located down here. And then of course in this fume hood is usually where we do all the waste. So as you can see here, we actually have a bunch of jugs in here right now. They're taped off. This means that the containers are no longer open to obtain more waste because they've already reached their maximum capacity. As you can see here, this one is still untaped, so there's still room for waste to go in there. And this one is a non-halogenated jug, and it kind of describes what goes in here. So most of your waste will go in here. This is an example of the halogenated waste. You know, anything that contains your halogens will go in here. Fortunately, this one's been taped off recently, so we have to get another jug made for this. But if it's taped off, just kind of ignore it, leave it in the back. The ones that you need are probably gonna be pushed up and forward. And then if there's ever any waste that you might need that's more of like for a particular lab, you will see them here. And of course, kind of follow your label. So this one's for HEC reaction. So this will be used only during HEC reaction when needed. Now let's go into our dumbwaiter area. So here we kind of find everything else that we might need for lab. Example being any of the synth bodies that you might need are going to be located down below. Any extra pipette tips that you might need will probably be here. Dewars are here. UV lights, capillary tubes, test tubes if needed. There are paper towels here, but of course, if you ever need more, those will likely be in the stock room. Being a TA, the professor will likely send you up, or he might ask you to either find me or Miss Freeman, or maybe someone in the main office to help you get paper towels. But those will be located in the stock room. Here we have our prep cart. So whenever you need prep kit, you can find it here. So if you're the first person who's having lab and you're helping your professor set up, you would take your prep kit and go out into the classroom or the lab room and put whatever you need on the bench as described as your professor wants it. For the most part, they kind of do the same setup, so there's not going to be much difference between whether you're TAing for Dr. Carter or Dr. Tarka. Dr. Singleton is the only one who's doing Organic 2, so if you're TAing for him, he will have it same. When it comes to stuff like this, your methanol, if for some reason you are out and you need to refill these methanol bottles, whether it's methanol, ethanol, hexanes, toluene, 2-propanol, you can find that stuff here in your yellow flammable cabinet. Here you can see that the bottom shelf is what you would probably need for organic lab. Your waste containers are sometimes located in here as well. Acetone bottles if you need them. Here's an acetone bottle if you're refilling. Here's the waste container for TLC if you do TLC. So, of course, here you can just find whatever you need and use as needed. Here we have our fridge. So, not a lot is stored in the fridge. An example would be in Organic 1 where you're doing stereochem. Here you can see your sucrose solution. This is where you would locate it, and hydrogen peroxide that you might need. If you're doing IR lab, they'll be in here as well. And your Wittig reaction, you might be doing this with Organic 2. You would find that in here. And you might just need a little extra stuff here and there, depending on your lab. Whether it be terbutyl isocyanide or R-carbone, cystolbene, it'll be all located in here. And of course, you would come in here when directed by your lab professor. And if you guys ever need ice, here is the ice machine. Scoop it up. Don't leave the scooper in there, it will get buried in there. And here we have more liquid hand soap if you need it refilled. Anything in your lab room. And then here we have 2 big buttons in case of emergency. They haven't needed to be pushed so far, but it's good for you guys to know that they're located here. So this one is the emergency button, emergency spill button. It kind of sets off an alarm here in the building, and it lets PD know what's happened, and they can contact who they need to. The smaller button is our shut off button. So this will shut off the water, the electricity, and the gas for the building. So push either of these buttons when in case of emergency. Let's go back up here. So on our fume hoods, we have QR codes that might be needed in case of a spill or incident report. So those will be located on the very first fume hood to the door closest to the microwave. Those QR codes will either be filled out by either you or the professor. It really just depends on who has the most information of what happened. And each sheet also has what a near miss is, what an incident is. That way you can kind of distinguish between which one you need to fill out. It should be a pretty basic Google form, just asking you for some details. And it's sent over to Ms. Freeman, and then we kind of discuss it over in our chemical safety committee. Also, I didn't talk about this just yet, but you know, being TAs, you kind of have to be more aware of things that might run out in here. So here we have like shelves on either side of the room. We have gloves, pasture pipettes, connectors, filter paper, weigh paper. On that side is where we have our watch glasses, our disposable pipettes, the plastic ones, as well as our water vessels. So if for some reason anything runs out, you can always reach out to me, Ms. Freeman, someone in the main office. Most of our things that we have located that need to be refilled are going to be located in our stock room. So that's something that you would need to ask one of us for a key or to be accompanied up there and get what you need, unless the professor does it themselves. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. Also on that fume hood where the QR codes are located, you will find Ms. Freeman's cell number. You are more than welcome to text her or call her in case of emergency and you need to get in contact with somebody. You will also have access to my cell number and my email. It's easier to get in contact with me through my cell number. But I will share that with you when I send out this email regarding this video. And of course, if you have any questions, you can always just text me, email me. I will be here ready to answer what is needed. So, thank you.